What's going on, y'all? So we have the Star Resonance closed beta, and I've had some time to dive into the game, and I really kind of want to just go over this. Remember, I'm just gonna give a blunt, straight up. Remember, I'm not here to just like wildly sugarcoat, or I'm not here to doom either. I'm just here to tell it to you how it is. So we're gonna dive into my experience with the closed beta so far from day one going into day two. And of course, we'll continue to update you as the beta continues to go on, and we'll keep dropping videos that's kind of addressing the beta and how things are operating within it. But I really want to dive into this first day experience and really what you're going to expect and what you should be expecting, and if the game might be successful or not, come release date, and well, where we really go from there. But first, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps out tremendously. Thank you very much. So the first thing that you'll notice about the game, of course, is the character customization. When you go into this thing, we're not going to like go over this all the way. We have a whole VOD for this, so if you want to check my live stream, so you can check that, it's in there. We go through the whole character creation process. But the character creation process is pretty extensive. They have a lot of customizations here that you can really dive into. You can really customize a lot of things here. The colors, with the faces here, the eyebrows, you can see all this right here that you can customize. So and so the customization in this game is pretty nicely. There's nothing over the top. So like you go to like like your proportions here, like, oh, it's right here, I'm really looking at it. So like over here you'll see that here you have like, you can change this right here, but there's nothing over the top. So the reason I'm bringing this up, of course, is because we know that in today's world right now, in today's internetscape, we have a problem with people wanting to go way too overboard with their character customizations to the point where it's bad. It's just bad for the industry. It's bad for the gaming industry. It's bad for society, quite frankly. So this one here, it allows you the customizations that you want, that you really want there, but it doesn't allow you to go over the top and have like a 12 foot long booba or something like that, or freaking a rear end that's touching Mars. It doesn't allow you to do that stuff. Just take up the whole screen, which is super annoying in the first place. So the customization is more than enough to really let you dive into it, more than enough to really let you experience and really make a unique customized character. Then of course, there's always the option of getting new customization options through gachas and stuff like that. Most of the gacha, pretty much all the gacha in the game, is more or less surrounding cosmetics. But you'll see here, we'll enter the game. I did choose One Night. I chose One Night because One Night is the most difficult, well, that's the highest difficulty tier on the stars. We can actually go into here and maybe confirm. No, I don't want to restore it. I want to see if we could just confirm this. Yeah, so you'll see here on this page, which I very much like this UI. This UI was actually very nice. I very much enjoy this. So as you can see here, it looks very sleek when you're choosing your character, right? And you see in the video here, you could get two different views of it. But you'll see down here with the difficulty here and the stuff right here. So you'll see this down here, and you'll see the stars that show the difficulty here. So down here you'll see the One Night and the Stormblade tend to have the highest amount of stars there on difficulty. So me being the person that I am, of course I chose the One Night because it has the highest amount of stars of difficulty. I want the most difficult class to play because I know that the game is geared towards mobile as well. So as a result, it's going to be fairly simple to play for a lot of these basic aspects in the first place. So as a result, I chose One Night to start off with. So that way it gives me the most technicality to it and really allows me to engage into the game. Whereas, of course, these other classes, they're enjoyable too, and it's really just pick which one you want to pick and how you like to play. Me, that's just how I am by nature. So I like technical classes. So that's just how I am. But nonetheless, we did do that. Now we'll go back out of here and we'll actually go back in on my character instead. So let's go ahead and enter the game. So the big thing about this game is that, when you first enter, you'll realize that the game actually does not look that bad, especially on PC. It actually does not look that bad, considering that it's a mobile game as well. But that also being said, if you played BPJP, you know that this game does not look as polished as BPJP. So there's two coins to that. Of course, it's a plus because it's on mobile and it doesn't look as bad as you thought it would. It's downgrade because it does not even compare to how good as BPJP looked. And you'll feel that a lot with all the aspects in it. One of the first things I noticed, which is just like blew me away, was do the run. So like this is the sprint here, so this is the regular walk, and then the run here, it just goes nowhere. It just goes nowhere. It's so slow compared to what it was in BPJP. BPJP, the sprint was like, boy, you were zooming like Sonic the Hedgehog. That was the first thing I noticed there. And then the next thing I noticed would be the kind of the clunkiness with the gameplay. Now this isn't as big of an issue when you're able to get the triple jump and really start jumping around. However, the triple jump is like behind, you leveling up, and then you get access to it. So these things don't come at the very beginning, which does kind of create for a kind of slower, kind of weird experience when you first start the game. But all in all, it's not like terrible, but it is just weird. So it is just weird nonetheless. I was trying to bring the UI back. Like I'm not sure what button I'm pressing. There it goes. Bring the UI back. That's not the UI off. But you'll see there that it is a little strange in that regard. Nonetheless, you'll be back in the city in the Astrales, and you'll really kind of notice that, while it does look good, you can't kind of miss the lingering feeling that this game is also a mobile game. And that really just kind of sticks with you, quite frankly, no matter what you do there. Now, one of the biggest gripes I had here is that the story, because, I did the stories being introduced in segments, as you see up there on the top left. It says starts in 6 hours 43 minutes, so pretty much it's allowing you to do a part of the story, every reset. So that way you can't just do it all at once, right? Pretty sure that's just for the beta. That's not how it actually is in the game, I think. But nonetheless, one of the biggest gripes I have here with BPSR and your first impression of it is that the story is just too much talking. And there's not enough, really engaging in combat and really feeling like you're playing the game. The story so far of what I've done that's available right now, which is Chapter 1, the entirety of Chapter 1, and I guess half of Chapter 2, that's available right now as of the making of this video, probably took, maybe 3 or 4 hours, and there was maybe only a couple minutes worth of combat involved in that storytelling, which is not very good. It feels like it's just a yap fest in that regard, and I don't like that. BPJP, the Blue Protocol Japanese version, definitely was not like that. It really felt very engaging when you popped in. The minute you jumped into the game, it really felt like you were already engaged into everything. So I don't like that they did that. I don't like that pacing of the story. The story does not appear, and this isn't to knock this game, because Blue Protocol JP had a massive budget, and it showed in their story. The story was phenomenal. The execution of it, everything being voice, the animation, it's definitely very clear that that's all superior to this game. With that being said, as we've gotten to Chapter 2 and things kind of start to build up, you can see that the direction of this game can potentially be interesting in regards to its story, and I think it does kind of follow a similar type of kind of backdrop similar to what the original game was. So I think that's kind of a plus right there. But nonetheless, off of the first jump, when you're doing that main story, it's really it can be deterring, I think, for a initial player, because there is just yapping and there's not enough engagement with the player. So I think that's a really big issue, but that's not really something they can fix right now. I mean, the game's already out in China. That's the story. So obviously moving forward, they'll probably, address that with the new chapters. But as of right now, I think that's probably one of the biggest gripes that you'll see. Another big gripe is that, honestly, y'all, the combat really feels janky at first. I mean, it's like, this was kind of difficult, because it feels janky when you're in combat. For one, the dodge is your sprint button. Now this is, I guess this is common in a lot of games nowadays, like, like maybe like your typical gotchas like Genshin and Wuwa and stuff like that. Your dodge is your sprint button. So that's my dodge. You see I'm doing that. That's also my dodge. So that's also my dodge. Whereas there was, in the original BPJP, there was a dodge button. The one also thing there is that the dodge button in BPJP was like a full-on dodge. You were rolling, you had full omnidirectional control of it. It was really cool. It was super responsive to the attacks. The combat in this game is a downgrade from BPJP, if you ask me personally, and from the people who played BPJP as well, who played BPJP during its actual life. Remember at the very beginning of BPJP was not very, it did not have a whole lot of combat mechanics. It only had 4 actions that you could use. This is before they added the second oil. So if you play BPJP at the very start, then you wouldn't really understand what I'm saying. And this is better than BPJP at the start in that regard. However, they very quickly changed things around in that game, and the combat became very, very good, very polished. And comparing it to that, now, and don't get me wrong, I'm trying to look at this from both an objective standpoint of what it is, and and also comparing it to BPJP. But I'm also looking at it for the game that it is without, in regards to BPJP as well. And the combat does feel a little janky at times. It does feel as if things flow together as smoothly, and also the mobs aren't really as unique in regards to like these open area mobs in these areas. Not these are like level 1, but a lot of them kind of just like they stand still too much. They're kind of just hitbacks, punching backs, right? So I definitely do not like that, and that will be something that you definitely experience fairly quickly on. Remember, this is kind of like my experiences that we're really diving into initially. You'll also see these things over here, which you'll be hella confused about, which also brings me to another point, is that they do not a very great job at explaining things in this game. So you're really left with not really understanding what in the world you were doing with a lot of this stuff. Like they kind of just throw things at you. And that also makes me think also too with the whole weapon skills. All the weapon skills are kind of just thrown at you as well. And I think that they should not be like that. I think, you should have to like maybe learn them as you go up, and they introduce them to you maybe slowly one by one or something like that. But they kind of just throw them all at you. So I'm not super big on that as well. But it can be very confusing with how all this stuff is here. And there's just so many different aspects of it. And you don't know where you're supposed to go with a lot of this stuff. You're just like going through stuff, and there's so many menus, so many different components, which is great in one regard, that there's so many different types of things that you can kind of get into. But from a person like starting out, it can be overwhelming 100%, because it's really just thrown at you. There's not really much going on there in regards to kind of guide you through it. And there's a whole life system as well, which we really haven't dived into completely. Remember, I'm giving like a kind of a first impression here. We really haven't dived into that completely yet, so we're going to be doing that over the next days, weeks, whatever, and really diving into that and diving into every aspect and releasing videos and let y'all know how we feel about it and the pros and the cons about everything. But I will say that once you kind of start getting into the groove of things, it does feel better. And once you do this triple jump, it feels much better than it does when you just have like this jump. You just have like a double jump. Once you get the triple jump, it's much better. And once you get the mount, it's much better as well too. Thing is that you don't get the mount or the triple jump until much later in your play. So you're just running around with this slow run for forever, doing like the main chapter 1 story, and it just feels so slow. It's like they gotta speed this regular run up. Like, bro, I'm telling you, like in BPJP, the sprint was probably like 3 times the speed. I'm not even joking. It was quick. It was very quick. So that's definitely an issue there, I think, that can be a little deterring. And then another gripe I have as well is also the execution of the open world here. Now this one is kind of more so a direct comparison to BPJP in regards to the like unique monsters. So now, and I also have to understand that this is a closed beta, and that whenever the actual game comes out, there's going to be a lot more people, and it's going to be very active in here and whatnot. But pretty much what I'm going at with this is that the unique monsters in here, in BBJP, those unique monsters were like everywhere. So like pretty much how it would work is that you'd be running through here, and then you get like a challenge alert that would pop on your screen, and then like the music would change and stuff like that. And you would see on your map that there'd be like this big icon on the mini map. You see that there's like a unique boss that just spawned. You would see like 20-30 people just racing by you, everyone just on mounts or running and just going to this one little place to go kill this challenging boss. And like that was very fun. That was very exciting in the BPJP. And those bosses were everywhere. Like everywhere on the open world, they were everywhere. Whereas this one, you know, it has unique bosses, but it's not nearly as many as there was in BPJP in that regard. I don't know where to find this stuff at. I'm still trying to get familiar with the menu. It can be a little tricky, quite frankly. But it's down there, it's the monster hunt. So like they have these different ones, but like BPJP had so many of these, and it was just the way they executed it was more engaging, I feel. But that's one of the gripes I have about it in that regard, is that you don't get that feeling of like, you know, you walk out of the main city, you know, you walk out of the main city over here where we just came from, and then right when you walk out, you see like, oh, there's like 30 people attacking this challenging boss that's right by the gate, you know, that just spawned or something like that. Like, you don't get that here. Now, like I said, once the actual game comes out, you know, of course there will be more people, and so these areas will be more flooded, of course. This area right here is the start area, so that's why you're not seeing a lot of people here in the first place. But, you know, once that happens, then maybe, you know, you'll really get that true feel to it, you know. But as of right now, I think that's something that's partially lacking, maybe, potentially, and that they could maybe address in the future. Now, being someone who played BPJP and understanding how many assets they have, considering that we only have this map right now, and I know how expensive BPJP was when it ended. Obviously, I played it for its entire duration. I do know very well that they have a lot of room to improve things. They do. So they have a lot of grace here to actually improve things, especially if this game is kind of, you know, successful for the most part across all regions, so it allows them the revenue to go in and really dive in and try to make this game really something special. They have the groundwork to do so, because BPJP really introduced a lot of assets, and there's a lot of, you know, new maps. Like BPJP had a ton of maps, so like, this is just the very first map that was like BPJP pretty much, and BPJP had so many more maps. So they have a lot of wiggle room there, I think, and a lot of ways to expand the system. They can always go in and adjust and tweak the combat system the same way that BPJP did. I think they might, but that's definitely something that we'll have to see coming in the future. But all in all, right now, I believe that this experience is fairly enjoyable. I think it will be even more fun whenever, you know, the game is actually released and you really get everyone on this game, because when you have a whole bunch of people on this game as intended to have so, and you have your PC and your mobile players and people of all ages, it will really help to really create a better environment. And of course, you know, in closed betas such as these, there's a good chance that you have a small population, and like get a handful of that population, you might get some bad seats in there, right? You might get some people who are trying to be nuisances, which I haven't seen too much of, but there are people, of course, in the game that are trying to do that already, or trying to be, you know, talk crazy in the chat and stuff like that. But of course, when the game comes out full release, you're not going to see as much of that, because it will be diluted. Because given, you know, the age rate is what, 12 plus for this game, I believe. So obviously that opens up a whole new window, and for mobile players as well, that brings in a lot of community aspect in that as well. So I think that's a benefit that we have going on there. All in all, though, we'll continue to update y'all with this game and with all the classes I play. Currently, we're just playing the one nut right here. We also have the bow user unlocked. Bow user I have very heavy gripes with, because it is a very, 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 very downgrade from BPJP bow. Like very much so. The bow is extreme downgrade from BPJP. Like there's not even any hold mechanics. Like, you know, like you hold the button longer. It's a bow, so you hold the button longer, so it'll do something to your attacks or something like that, to some of your properties. Whereas like there was a lot of mechanics like that in BPJP. There's not a single one like that for bow in here, so I don't like that at all. So of course the game was dumbed down a little bit, which we knew was going to happen because it's focused at mobile as well. So we knew that was going to happen. It was just a matter of how much. Ultimately, the game looks and feels pretty good, especially for a game that is mobile related. All the gacha stuff is pretty much cosmetic stuff, so it doesn't really impair, you know, your actual It doesn't impair your progression or skill gaps really too heavily in that regard. You can grind in this game if you really want to. So that's a plus right there. We'll keep diving into every little aspect of system. So I could like keep talking here and go on with this, but I would like we would start diving into every single thing, and it would be best to just split these into different videos. So that way it's not overwhelming. And this one is just more so geared towards a first impression of what you'll think of the game. So with that being said, we'll continue to keep on playing the closed beta and keep on testing all this stuff. See, as you can see there in the comments right there, I'm actually going to call these people out right here on the screen. As you can see there on the comments right there, these are the type of things that we get. And I'm going to let y'all know right now that I'm 100% for removing all this type of stuff from an online environment. 100% for it. Like, no question about it. It does not belong. And you know, I'm glad about some recent updates that we've seen with FF14. Of course, y'all are aware of that. That was a very good update to have. Very good if they're cracking down on that stuff. Does not belong in this. Does not belong to the community. In MMORPGs, it was never a thing in the past, and that's when MMORPGs were great, when it was not a thing in the past. And so I'm excited for all that stuff to be gone, plain and simple. And obviously, the quicker the better. But nonetheless, y'all, this was the first impression. So let me know what y'all think. If y'all playing the closed beta, how you're enjoying it, and if you're excited for it. Like I said, I've been enjoying it as time goes by. It's just right there at the start, it feels a little sluggish, feels very sluggish, but as you really start to play it and start to understand it, which takes way too long because they don't provide any lanes and avenues to help you understand it, but once you start to, it does become more enjoyable. So we'll keep playing it, we'll keep testing it, and you'll keep getting updated. But nonetheless, be sure to like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what you think, and I will see y'all in the next one. Much love. Holla.
Spike content.